Hey y'all, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Wildflower T, and today we have the latest updates on the Chrisleys, or something that I think I'm going to start calling prison tea. Because as you guys are more than likely aware, both Todd and Julie Chrisley did report to their respective prisons this past Tuesday, January 17th, as planned. Julie Chrisley was seen turning herself in at the Federal Medical Center in Lexington, Kentucky, where she will be serving her 7-year sentence. Initially, she was supposed to be going to the FCI in Marianna, Florida, but according to the Chrisley attorney Alex Little, it could be something as simple as the fact that they just did not have room for her at that facility. Not that it makes a difference, but at the other facility in Marianna, Florida, she was fairly close to Todd. And now that she's residing in Lexington, Kentucky, that is over 650 miles away from the facility in which Todd Chrisley will be at. She arrived at the facility in the back of a black Cadillac Escalade with her father, Harvey Hughes, in tow. 650 miles away, Todd was snapped surrendering at the federal prison camp in Pensacola. Both vehicles did try to avoid detection, but that didn't really work out in their favor because, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, paparazzi was swarming both facilities like nobody's business. Todd Chrisley even went as far as putting a pillow over his face so that paparazzi could not get a photo of him. And while Julie Chrisley definitely did not go to those measures not to be detected, the last known photo that they have of her is the SUV actually entering into the facility, and then approximately 15 minutes later the vehicle did come back out with her father Harvey visibly upset. According to the Prison Pro FMC, Lexington is an administrative security medical center for both men and women with a nearby minimum security prison camp that is designed to house females only. And that, my friends, is where Julie Chrisley is expected to serve out her sentence. And the camp itself has been described as comfortable compared to other federal prisons. According to a report by WGRZ-TV back in October 2020, this place was compared to a college room dorm, with one expert telling the broadcaster that if you have to do federal time, that is the place to do it at. They stated that there are no barbed wire fences, and of course there is security and guards there, but it's not a place that you're going to see very serious or dangerous criminals. An admission and orientation manual accessible to the prison's website, published in January 2018, said that the facility has athletic fields, including basketball and volleyball courts, and it also offers educational and vocational training and opportunities. When it comes to the facility in which Todd Chrisley will be residing, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already heard that it has been dubbed the second cushiest prison in the world. But despite the prison's cushy reputation, Todd will have to live within a strict schedule that will see him waking up at 4:45 in the morning, making his bed with military precision, and working a prison job all morning and into the afternoon. He'll also only be allowed to own personal property items which do not exceed the value of $100 per item, and he will be allowed up to 5 visitors at a time during the evening visiting hours, which is on Fridays, and during the day on the weekend. Before the Chrisleys turned themselves into prison, they did quite a few Chrisley Confession podcasts, and in one of their recent episodes, Todd Chrisley hinted around to a documentary coming out on the Chrisleys and the things that the public doesn't know about this whole situation. This past Wednesday, Entertainment Tonight did interview the Chrisleys' attorney, who also spilled some more tea on the documentary and so much more.
This trial was riddled with errors, and we expect the appeals court to see that.
We understand that they owe $17 million in restitution. How do they plan to bounce back from that?
Because the way the court calculated it was incorrect. I mean, there's a number of issues, as I said, in this case that are likely to be reversed on appeal. The main focus and the main plan right now is to make sure that the errors of the trial court are reversed by the appeals court. There are different players at each step in a criminal prosecution. You've got the prosecutors who bring a case, you've got the jury and the judge who tries a case, and then you've got an appeals court that's purpose is to review what that prior court has done. And you can believe that you are sort of harmed at the lower levels and be hopeful that that will stop when you move on along the appeal. I think the very beginning of this case was an unconstitutional search by the Georgia Department of Revenue. This court's already found that was unconstitutional, and it should have stopped the whole case in its track. The second piece is one of the IRS officers who testified about whether the Chrisleys had paid certain taxes. That certainly, we think, affected the jury, and we believe there'll be a basis for a new trial.
What do you think could be in a documentary that might ultimately vindicate them?
This case started because an officer with the Georgia Department of Revenue went into the Chrisleys' property without a warrant, pretended to have a warrant, and seized all their stuff. That sort of government overreach and government misconduct started on day one, has continued throughout the prosecution.
If you guys would like to see this interview in full without my commentary, as always, it will be linked in the description below. But there were a few parts in this interview that definitely stuck out to me. In one portion of the interview, the Chrisleys' attorney actually compares what the Chrisleys are currently going through to someone battling cancer. And I'm sorry, but that is not only extremely insensitive, but as someone who has experienced someone they love going through cancer firsthand and battling it and unfortunately losing that battle, there is a huge difference in a life or death situation where you can do everything right and still end up getting cancer because cancer does not discriminate. Comparing that to a cause and effect situation is just ridiculous, because at the end of the day, no matter if the courts and the government is 110% right with what they are saying on the Chrisleys, the facts are there is definitely fault there. Intentional or non-intentional, the Chrisleys were involved in illegal actions that took place and were swept under the rug for years. So for the Chrisleys' attorney to try and compare a life or death situation with a cause and effect situation, there is just no comparison. With all that being said, however, I would love to see a documentary be made. I would definitely tune in because I think there is a lot that the public does not know. And the same goes for an appeal, because I do personally believe there's a lot that happened behind the scenes on both sides here, both the Chrisleys and the government. Another part that really stuck out to me about this interview is when the interviewer asked about Chloe and how she's doing in this moment. The Chrisleys' attorney gave a very indirect answer, and it was obvious to me that he was given strict instructions not to discuss Chloe. And again, these are just my takeaway from the interview, but I actually respect that if that is the case, because Chloe is a minor, and even though she may be a public figure and on a television show, shielding her from all of this should be of utmost importance. And let's be real, there's a lot of people upset and being very opinionated on the Chrisleys right now. And I don't think that Chloe should be susceptible to that same criticism because she's just a kid. So instead of even opening up the conversation, giving an indirect answer, letting everyone know she's okay, but we're not going to talk about her, in my personal opinion, it was the best way it could have been handled. But I would love to hear what you guys think about all of this. Did you see the interview? If so, was there anything in particular that stuck out to you? Also, if a documentary on the Chrisleys does come out, will you be tuning in? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Before you go, please consider smashing that like button, subscribing, and tapping the bell if you haven't already. That way you are notified of all my future content. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you to the moon and stars, and until my next one, mwah. Bye y'all.